and welcome to Wendy's AIP Kitchen. I'm so excited because today we are making an AIP version of
Gnocchi.
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 GN sounds like NY, like ny.
O's are open like O. Double consonants get extra emphasis. The H makes the C hard, so CCH equals K. I sounds like double E. When you put them all together, you get
Gnocchi. How do I know this? From my career in opera, but that's a whole nother story. I don't know about you, but on the AIP, I have totally been missing pasta. And traditional gnocchi is made with all the things that we can't have. Potatoes, wheat flour, sometimes eggs, and sometimes nutmeg. All a no-go. But I have come up with a version that has everything we can have, only 4 ingredients. Let's get started. My version of gnocchi is a pumpkin gnocchi. I'm using organic pumpkin puree. Now, the important thing about gnocchi is consistency. I'll get into a little bit more about that later. But for right now, we need to get some of the moisture out of this pumpkin. I've put the pumpkin puree into a saucepan over medium-high heat. What I want to do is evaporate some of the moisture out of there. So I'm going to be cooking it, stirring it around until it reduces to about 3/4 of the volume that it was before. Okay, so we have our pumpkin in a bowl. To this, we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of gelatin. This is what's going to hold it together. Now we're going to add cassava flour. And this is the part where we need to talk about consistency. The thing we're after is the consistency of, say, a brand new can of Play-Doh. Remember when you were a kid and it's soft, but it can still roll? And you could roll it on a counter without any flour. That's what we're going for. So I'm gonna start by putting in a 1/2 cup of cassava flour. And this is just our starting point. I can't tell you exactly how much cassava flour to put in here, but I'm going to show you how I go about it. All right, you can see that this is still way too sticky. We don't have a good dough yet. So 1 tablespoonful at a time. We'll keep adding cassava flour until we get there. I usually use about 3 extra tablespoons, but let's see what happens today. This is how I test if my dough is the right consistency. If I can move it around in my hands without any flour, if I can roll it on the counter without any flour, I know I've got it right. Now I'm going to divide this dough into 4 usable pieces. Time to pretend that you're 5 years old and you're making a Play-Doh snake. Now that you've made your snake, we're going to cut these into the size of about a Tootsie Roll. Little pieces like this. Once you have your little Tootsie Roll shapes, we need to roll them with ridges. Now, a lot of people use a gnocchi board, but you don't really need a gnocchi board. You can just use a fork. So you place a Tootsie Roll right here, make an indentation, and then roll it off the back of the fork, and ta-da! Your first little piece of gnocchi. It's got a little dimple on this side and ridges to hold the sauce. all done. Now here's what I've done. I've put the ones that we're going to have for dinner tonight on a floured plate so that when I dump them into the boiling water, they're not going to stick. But over here, I have a plate of a few that I'm going to freeze. So at this point, you can either cook or freeze. I'm freezing some for later so that I can have a little AIP meal when my family is having something else that I can't have. The gnocchi are ready to go into the boiling water. Notice we've got a pot of water that's really bubbling here. When you put these in the water, please be very careful that they don't splash back on you. I'm going to use a slotted spoon here. And the question is, how long? Well, if you look inside here, they're all at the bottom. Eventually, they will all float up, and then we'll start timing from there. Now you can see they're starting to float. So let's give it, I'm gonna guess 3 or 4 minutes. Let's say 3 minutes. Oh, we have some gnocchi. I'm gonna take it out with a slotted spoon. And here is the finished product. Now, what about sauce? We can't use tomato sauce, right? I make a creamy lemon sage sauce, and I will put the recipe for that on my blog. The link will be in the description. Nothing to do now but da mangiare. Have a great day, everybody.
Wendy's AIP Kitchen was filmed before a live studio audience.